Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming to Off the Lifts today. Today is a special one because we're talking about a topic that's maybe a bit more on the serious side that we don't necessarily have done too much of before at our sessions. Come and join us, Alex. Waiting just for you. So today Morné is going to speak to us about depression and why asking for help isn't a weakness. And this is especially important not only for ourselves, but I'm sure everyone knows someone who's struggling with depression. So I'm very excited. Let's give Morné a hand.
Thank you. Hey guys, thank you for coming. It's not going to be so serious, although the topic is serious. I'm not a serious person, so I'm a bit funny looking sometimes. What my daughter says, yeah, she's in the front row. I've got my talking cards. So you guys are part of my experiment. This is my first time doing this and speaking in front of people. So yeah, welcome to the, what do we call it? The experiment now. Yeah. Don't worry, I won't be doing anything with you guys. So you guys are safe at least. So when I look around the room, I see a bunch of hardworking people. I see creators. I see business people. I see people who are freelancers, people who like to create things, to make things work, to fix things, and to get things done. So we're a community of problem solvers. For instance, if your laptop breaks, what do? We call someone to fix the laptop. Or if something goes wrong in the office, you call a technician or call someone to help us. If we're sick, we go to the doctor. So we're all good at fixing stuff. But what happens when that person, or the person being yourself, that's doing all the work, that's keeping everyone together at home or in the workplace or in your family, what if you are breaking down inside? What happens then? So I didn't introduce myself, but my name is Morné, and I want to talk about the struggles that we don't like to talk about, and I want to talk about depression. It's the things that we never want to bring home. It's things that we don't want to talk to other people about. It's something we don't take to our church or to our gym or to our everyday life. It's something that we normally keep to ourselves. But more importantly, I also want to talk about the shame and the stigma that comes with depression, because that's the biggest obstacle. Getting depressed, we don't really have to do much. That happens through life, but the stigma that stops us from talking to someone about it, that's the thing that we have to overcome. On the outside, my life looked successful. I looked happy. I was running a successful business. I've got my wife, my 2 daughters are here as well. And on the outside, I had a big smile on my face when I would talk to people. Like I said, I'm not a serious person, so I like to make people laugh. I like to make people enjoy themselves. Okay, welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. So here's some members from my church. So no pressure. No pressure at all. It's easier to talk to people that don't know me. So now there's people that are here, so they can test if I'm telling the truth or not. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, like I was saying, so on the outside everything was looking fine. I was managing life. I was what we would call managing the depression in a way. I was pushing everything down, pretending that I'm fine. I was smiling, looking as if everything is okay. But the most important thing and job in my life is my family as well. But they were the ones that were suffering the most out of the depression, because obviously when you are not on the outside and you're at home with your loved ones, it's not so easy to pretend anymore and to keep those emotions down. So when you're the provider, the boss, and the father, you are handed an invisible rule book. The rule book says you don't break. It says you don't give up. When life gets heavy, it says you don't complain. You just carry on and pretend that everything is okay. You just carry more weight, and you just take more on and carry on as if everything is fine. Back in 2012, I was also diagnosed with motor neuropathy and chronic pain. So I've been, before that even, but when I got diagnosed, we knew what it was. So I've been living with chronic pain for the last 13, 14 years, where every moment my eyes are open, there's pain. It doesn't look like it because I've learned to put on a mask and to pretend that I'm fine. But it's difficult. It drains you to wake up every day in pain, to struggle to sleep at night. You get 4 hours of sleep. It becomes difficult. And also basic things that I would normally be able to do with my family, my kids, I couldn't do any longer. So as a man, I also started feeling useless. And I felt like I can't do the stuff I'm supposed to do. I couldn't open a water bottle. I would have to ask my wife to come and help me open a simple thing like that, because I couldn't do it because I was too weak. My muscles are also, were also deteriorating with it. But what did I do? Instead of stopping to deal with the pain or the fear of the moment, I just did what everyone else does. I pretended everything is fine. I gritted my teeth and I carried on. I just carried on. I started working harder. I started just pushing myself more into work, because when I'm busy and staying busy, then at least my mind can't think of these things. I just started suffering in silence. So what I did is I just withdrew into myself. And that's what a lot of us do. When things get difficult or when we have struggles, we tend to isolate. We tend to draw into ourselves and into our mind, and that's where the danger basically happens, because now we're not allowing other people in. We're just listening to our own depressing thoughts. And what do? We start listening to depressing music. And we start watching depressing stories. And we just make ourselves more and more depressed. And we start living in that depressing world. And we start telling ourselves that the world's actually will probably be better if we're not here. That's what happens. And then with that silence, I want us to look at that. And why do we keep quiet? We keep quiet because of the stigma. We keep quiet because we are scared what people are going to think. Another word for the stigma is shame. We start feeling shame. We think if we're going to admit that there's something wrong with us or that we need help, then it's going to mean we are weak. We're not able to cope in life. It's going to mean the people that depend on us, maybe, they're going to think that we are weak and they can't depend on us anymore. What are they going to think of me? It's that voice in our head that says, if you admit you are depressed, people will think you are weak. They will think you can't handle your life. But just think how crazy that is. Imagine, hey guys, imagine going to the gym and I break my leg. I think that's a good time for me to have a sip of water as well. Thanks, guys. I am getting hot, but don't worry, the sweat is normal. Like one of the racers said, elite athletes sweat. So if we can call it that. I'm not elite yet, but yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, imagine I'm going to the gym, I break my leg, but instead of going to a doctor or hospital, I just put on a sweatpants and I drag my leg behind me and pretend everything is fine. And everyone can see there's something wrong. I don't know if you guys who's old enough to know that Chicken Licken advert with the guy on the on the shoulder just gets bigger and bigger. Now imagine you that, and then people say, so how are you? Are you okay? No, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. But yeah, I'm dragging my leg. I can't walk, I can't do anything, but I'm pretending. You'll think that's crazy, isn't it? You'll say, dude, go to a doctor, go see someone, your leg's broken. But yet when our minds are breaking, when depression strips away our energy, our joy, our hope, we do exactly that. We say we're fine. We pretend that everything is okay. Just because it's not visible. It's not a visible injury, it's not a visible pain that people can see, but it's still there. And that injury, that pain can be something you've been carrying with you from a young age, from a child even. And we put on that mental sweatpants, we put on a fake smile, like a mask, and we just pretend that everything is fine. The shame of asking for help is highly dangerous. It thrives when we stay isolated. That shame is what keeps us from asking for help. That shame is what keeps us from the victory. It keeps us from moving forward in life. I carried that heavy, invisible weight probably more than 13 years. Though my diagnosis was 12 years ago, I think somewhere depression was already there. It was just functional depression. But you can't build a healthy life on a foundation that's crumbling underneath. So my turning point came last year. It's a difficult one to talk about, especially with my kids here. But yeah, last year May, I came to that point where I was at my lowest, where I couldn't anymore, and I felt like everyone's better off without me. You know, life will be easier for my wife, my kids. Family will be happier. It will just be better. Because you're so living in your head that you lie to yourself where you think that everyone's going to be better off without you. And I remember it was the evening. Hello. You can grab a seat if you want to. And yeah, my wife and I had an argument. Things at that time, because of the depression and hating myself at that time, what hate does, it brings out anger, and then, you know, you'll take it out on your loved ones. And we had a bad fight that night, and I just had enough. And I was like, you know what? I can't carry on like that. They can't carry on like that. And I remember standing on the balcony. I got on a chair and I was looking down. I was ready to jump. I was thinking of just doing it because, you know, the only thought that went through my head that time is it going to hurt or is it not going to hurt? That's all I was worried about. Luckily, Yolanda came, she pulled me down, and that's the moment that I realized I need help. Like, I can't carry on like that. You know, I grew up in a family where it was a broken family, and I always made a promise that I won't let my family go through the same thing. But yet there I was doing the same thing, and that's because I was too scared to ask for help. That night I got on my knees, I prayed, I asked God to forgive me, I asked God to come back into my heart, because I know in my life I can't do it without Him. And so when I recommitted, that was the first step that I had to take. But then secondly, I also had to admit that I needed more help than just spiritually, but also my mind. You know, we sometimes think because we're Christian or because whatever religion you are in, it's okay, you don't have to talk to people about your problems. It's okay, you're strong enough. If you admit that there's something wrong with you, then maybe there's something wrong with Christianity. Maybe there's something wrong with giving your heart to Jesus. This is now what went through my heart. But then I realized that God also created doctors. He gave them the talent, He gave them the ability to help us through certain things that we can't help ourselves with. And so I took that step. It was difficult, it was hard, because I knew I would have to go talk to someone else about my problems, things that I've been hiding even from myself growing up, things that I probably wouldn't have told my wife even. But I walked into the office and I realized I couldn't fix myself, so I was sitting down with a professional, and that's when the healing started, when I was able to start talking about my problems to someone that could help me, that could give me advice. And only after I managed to get my heart and my heart and my mind right, that's when I started looking after myself physically, because then I realized I can beat this condition. The condition isn't going to determine me, who I am as a person. I was 40 years old last year when this happened, and that's when I decided that after 18 years of not training and gymming, that I'm going to start gymming and training as well and look after my body. I've lost 13 kgs since then. I feel healthier. I was able to swim with my kids in the ocean this year for the first time. And small things like that made a huge difference, and it gave me a new lease for life. Just by getting my heart right, getting my mind right. And the mind is the most important thing because it's links to everything. And once my mind was right, I could physically get better. And once I was physically better and I was getting less cramps, because by training I'm getting less pains, less cramps, it just made my whole life a lot better. So for me, this was the steps I had to take, but everyone's life's different. And everyone might be in a different position or in a different place. But the most important thing I want you to know is, to overcome depression, is you need to talk to someone. You need to talk to someone. That someone doesn't necessarily need to always just be a professional up front. Speak to a close friend. Speak to your wife or your husband or your pastor or confident, anyone that you can speak to, go speak to that person. So if I can ask, now I want you guys to participate. I'm not going to ask you guys to tell me your problems, don't worry. But just a simple show of hands. Within this year, has any one of you been asked, are you okay, how are you, although you've been going through a stressful time, or you were completely overwhelmed, or feeling hopeless or depressed, but when someone asked you, how are you, you just said, I'm fine. How many of you? I would say all of us, right? All of us, yeah. That's what all of us do. But how crazy is that? Because all we do is we just say we're fine. If someone asks us, how are you? We're fine. How was your day? It was good. It's like an automatic greeting, or almost. It's like, how are you today? No, I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. And then you carry on with life. So that right there is the stigma that I'm talking about. It's the silent agreement we have all made to lie to each other and pretend we are perfect. We have to break that agreement. Asking for help is not giving up. It's the bravest and smartest thing you can do. Since my turning point in May 2025, my life has completely changed. I'm planning on stepping away from the business eventually. My wife's looking at me. I didn't tell her that. She's like, what? I'm launching a channel called Spirit Over Symptoms that is going to be dealing exactly with things like this, depression. I'll be speaking, having podcasts and trainers and people like that can help us with general life. I'm planning on studying this year. I'm also planning on writing a book. So I've got a lot of things that I'm planning on not doing in this year. Don't worry, I'm not crazy. A little bit. But yeah, that's the new lease that I've got in life. But it came from taking that first step of admitting I have a problem and then speaking to someone about it. And then you realize that you're not the only one. Actually, there's a lot of people that are suffering from the same thing. They're just keeping it to themselves. And like I said, none of this would have been possible if I didn't take care of my mental health first. Depression is real and it's incredibly heavy, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence. The shame only wins if we stay quiet. So open your mouth, talk to someone, ask for help, and then fix the foundation. And then that's that. That's my story.
Thank you so much, Morné. So usually we open the floor up now for questions if anybody has any. Does anybody have any questions? Does anyone have any tissues?
Oh, great.
Josh.
That's what I want. I love questions. This part I enjoy the most is talking to people, not having to give a long story. Yeah.
Is your physical pain in one specific place, or is it?
No, it's hands. It progresses. So there's actually 3 to 4 million people that have motor neuropathy. So that affects your nerves. So it's not what yours has or had. But it affects your nerve endings. And your muscles. My muscles get weaker with time. When I started at the gym, I couldn't even lift 20 kilograms with the bar. I can do 80 now, which is progressing. I'm pushing for 100 at least. Yeah, you have to have a target. But yeah, so it spreads my hands and feet. Like my feet are dead. They in pain all the time, but I can't feel hot and cold. I don't have feeling there, so that's why going in the ocean, I can't feel the water, and you get spasms and things like that. And yeah, so the pains are, and then it spreads as time goes. My uncle has the same condition. He's 55. At 55 he had to stop working. So it is progressive, and it is something that causes you later on not to be able to do the things that normal people do. He's not allowed to drive. But obviously that's why I decided to start training to work against the muscle loss. But I could only do that when my mind was right. Because at that time, when you look at it like that, then that problem just feels felt too big for me to handle. But yeah. So the pain, it spreads, and it's genetics. It's something I was born with. So unfortunately, there's no cure. They can just manage it with pain medication. That's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to us. I really appreciate it. So if we accept that between 75 and 80% of all suicides are men, and that what men go through, particularly in today's age, is not to be controversial, but it's quite often sort of belittled. The things that we face are not taken seriously. Do you think that the remedy to that needs to be found within male groups and within us as individuals? So when I talk to guys about their mental health, it takes them a long time to open up.
Yeah.
And eventually you hear that them opening up, or the barrier to that, is not necessarily judgment by other men, but by their partners, right?
Yes, yeah.
So with all of that accepted, do you think that we as men within our communities need to come together and say, cool guys, listen, we need to figure out a way to do this for ourselves because no one else is going to do it?
Yeah. I think it's going to take more men to stand up and actually admit that we have a problem.
Okay.
And you see, not just because of society, but we are prideful. Not prideful in a bad sense, but a man has that pride in him that he can do it,
Sure.
and he doesn't want to show weakness, because if you show weakness, then there's someone else stronger than you. So especially when it comes to finding a wife and things, we have to look like the strong one. You have to be the alpha male. So
Sure.
with that, society has conditioned us, and also just growing up. South Africa is a lot more behind than a lot of other countries.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the topic, and it's mother culture, because we are brought up that men don't cry, men don't show emotions. It's girls can cry, it's okay for them to cry and to show emotions, but we have to be the strong one. And that's how I always felt in the house. I had to be the strong one, and growing up as well, because I was the only son, with my mom and dad getting divorced and things like that, with my two sisters, I always had to be the strong one growing up. So I couldn't show emotions, I couldn't show weakness, because if I do, they're not going to have someone to depend on. So that is the stigma that we have to remove, that it's by admitting that you have a problem doesn't mean you are weak. You see, it doesn't mean that you're not capable, because I'm still capable of doing everything I can do. In fact, now that I've done something about it, I can actually do more. I have more energy. I don't have that heaviness that I'm carrying, because now everyone knows. They can help me. If they see I'm having a bad day, they have more understanding. They can say, okay, maybe let me back up a bit and not put too much pressure on that day. But yeah, definitely we have to get more people, and that's the reason why I decided to do this, because if I could do it at 40, and I could admit at this age, having my kids and everyone depending on me, that I need help, other men can do the same thing. And it's going to take us to step out of that uncomfortable or that comfort zone that we are in, to step out and show men that it's okay to be weak, it's okay to talk about your problems, and it's okay to have problems, because it's normal. And once you deal with that, then you can move on. But yeah, we definitely have to, I don't know about groups, maybe start, you can start with small groups and then move it out further. But definitely it's something we have to, just by men stepping up and saying it's okay to say you're not okay. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. And just a quick statistic, there's about 300 million people who suffer from depression worldwide, estimated. I would say it's probably much more than that. So that gives you an idea. It's not uncommon. It's most people, and especially I think since 2020, depression has gone up a lot, because people have been isolating more because of that. So yeah.
So I wish I had a joke to tell. Any more questions? No? Thank you so much, everybody, for your attention. Thank you, Morné, for being so brave. I think you're a wonderful example for other men. And yeah, I hope everybody feels encouraged and brave that you can open up to the people in your life. I hope you have a beautiful day. Check up on your friends. Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Check up on
Not
your
just to
friends.
say, are you okay, but to really mean it when you're asking someone, are they okay?
Check up on your
You know?
friends.
Yeah, that
And
helps.
with this flavor in mind, especially check up on your male friends, your fathers, your uncles, your cousins, your brothers. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Let's give him another round.
There you go.